We're kicking off today with SmackDown as Cody Rhodes had some fiery words for John Cena ahead of their showdown at WrestleMania 41. Rhodes soaked in the cheers of the crowd and even made reference to getting a similar reaction when he wrestled in Seattle for Defy Wrestling back in 2017. Getting down to business, Rhodes said that Cena's goal to take the WWE title away would be a detriment to future champions and said Cena had neglected to appear in Seattle. That drew large boos from the crowd, and Rhodes then looked at the previous iterations of the WWE Championship that were on display in this segment. Rhodes discussed the legends who have held each design before arriving at Cena's spinner title, and while John may see the title as a bad thing, Rhodes doesn't see it this way. Rhodes vowed to teach John Cena that the crowd is allowed to love somebody else and warned the WWE icon that he is not going to cower away, but fight harder than ever before. Rhodes shared that he told Roman Reigns the same message and did the same with Brock Lesnar in a rare reference to the former WWE Universal Champion, who's been away since 2023. Cody also mentioned that his time is coming up soon, potentially suggesting that Rhodes has doubts he'll win at WrestleMania, despite the bravado he's been showing to the fans. There's also the possibility that Rhodes' line could be a nod to him pursuing a future in acting, something that would mean he'd appear less for WWE, if not bring an end to his career outright. Speaking on Pardon My Take earlier this week, Rhodes said that he had some fun projects coming up and went as far as to say he may be next to join the fray after Cena, The Rock, and Batista. Concluding, Rhodes vowed that the WWE Championship will stay with us come WrestleMania, as Cena's vow to ruin wrestling will meet a huge obstacle next week in Vegas. Before WrestleMania though, Cena and Cody will be a part of next week's SmackDown, the go-home show, and fans can expect words and potentially fists to fly between the two. But what did you think of this week's segment? Do you think Rhodes did well? And did he suggest that his future will be in acting, not WWE? Let us know down in the comments below. SmackDown also saw Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton continue on the road to WrestleMania, and things turned ugly before the show went on the air. Just 30 minutes before SmackDown went live, a video surfaced online of Flair attacking Stratton in the parking lot, prompting two guards to try and restrain the Royal Rumble winner. Tiffany would scream for Charlotte to get off her, but Charlotte was able to throw the champion's head into a red SUV, sending a clear message to her WrestleMania 41 opponent. This footage was shared by fans, making it seem like the segment was a genuine attack by Flair, seemingly fueled by the comments Stratton made about Charlotte Flair and her love life last week. During SmackDown, Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore shared that Charlotte had been sent home due to the attack and that punishments were being given out over what happened last week. The commentators confirmed that things got out of hand and the two women crossed the line, and later in the show, Tiffany was confronted by Roxanne Perez. In yet another sign that Perez's time with NXT is up, the Prodigy essentially made the case for her being in the title picture at WrestleMania if Charlotte's actions had cost her the opportunity. This was an interesting tease, though it's unlikely WWE will cancel Tiffany vs. Charlotte given all the extra intrigue the match has garnered over the past week. Making clear Perez vs. Stratton isn't going to happen at WrestleMania, the pair fought on SmackDown, and it appears that something in the match may not have gone to plan. During the match, the screen cut to black, suggesting that a wardrobe malfunction had occurred, as the censors were quick to react to what happened. It's believed that Stratton suffered a wardrobe malfunction after Perez went for a cartwheel knee drop on the champion, as WWE wanted to avoid showing anything they couldn't. Stratton was able to recover from this unfortunate incident, and in the end, it was Tiffany who got the win, but her victory was short-lived. Despite being sent home earlier in the show, Flair emerged to attack Stratton, and it was Wade Barrett who was able to regain order as Charlotte stood over a fallen Stratton. What punishment do you think Charlotte should endure for once again going against orders? Could her match at WrestleMania be in jeopardy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Randy Orton was on SmackDown in Seattle, Washington, and wasn't in a good mood as the Legend Killer was reeling from the fact that he could miss WrestleMania 41. It was last week that Nick Aldis told Orton that due to Kevin Owens' injury, he was off the Mania card, and this earned the SmackDown GM an RKO for his troubles. On this week's show, Orton spoke about the importance of being at this year's WrestleMania, highlighting that it should be his 20th time competing at WWE's biggest event. Orton respects Nick Aldis, but made clear to the SmackDown GM that he needs to give him a match, or else the Viper will have to apologize for Mickie James for what he'd do to her husband. Solo Sikoa interrupted with Tonga by his side, and Solo hyped up Jacob Fatu's upcoming US title match against LA Knight, vowing that the title will change hands next week. Orton dared Solo and Tama to come into the ring, and a brawl would see the numbers prove too much for the Apex Predator until LA Knight arrived to make the save. That set up a tag team match for the main event in which Orton and Knight would win, but interestingly, Orton would brawl with Solo through the crowd. Perhaps this was a hint that it'll be Sikoa who Orton faces at WrestleMania, but back in the ring, Jacob Fatu would attack Knight, sending a message to the man he hopes to dethrone next week. The reason Randy Orton doesn't have a match at WrestleMania is because Kevin Owens has required neck surgery, and now more has come to light about the prizefighter. WWE sources told Fightful Select that Owens isn't expected to be back in 2025, and that it's quite possible he'll miss WrestleMania 42, set to begin on April 11th, 2026. This somber update comes after it was claimed that Owens had undergone neck surgery on April 7th, though it has since been clarified that this has not happened. PW Insider and Fightful have reported that Owens was spotted in the Atlanta airport with no sign of having undergone the surgery already. Before Fightful's update, it had been suggested that Owens would be out of action for 6 to 8 months, but it now appears that he'll be out of the ring for far longer than that. This injury is a horrible setback for Owens, and we're wishing the former Universal Champion a full and speedy recovery during this difficult chapter in his pro wrestling career. Next Friday, WWE will induct its latest class into the Hall of Fame, and we now know who will be doing the honors at the upcoming ceremony. As one would expect, Shawn Michaels will induct his best friend Triple H, while The Undertaker will be on hand to induct his wife Michelle McCool. CM Punk will present the very first Immortal Moment Award to Bret Hart and Steve Austin for their WrestleMania 13 Classic, as both men are the inspirations to the best in the world. Diamond Dallas Page will induct Lex Luger, and while DDP has helped Lex immensely over the years, this will come as a disappointment to those fans hoping to see Sting at the event. WWE has not stated who will induct the Natural Disasters into the WWE Hall of Fame, but whatever comes, fans can expect a night filled with nostalgia on April 18th. We've got news from WWE Speed now, as the show was taped before this week's SmackDown, and fans in Seattle got the chance to see a massive moment in the show's history. Given that this was a taping, the match hasn't aired yet, and if you don't want to be spoiled, we recommend skipping the next 40 seconds of this video. During the taping, Candice LeRae's tenure as WWE Speed Champion came to an end thanks to Sol Ruca, making the NXT superstar the second ever holder of the gold. LeRae's 186-day reign had begun in October 2024 when she defeated Io Sky in the finals of a tournament, and being on TV during her reign, LeRae didn't appear with the title. This win is certainly an endorsement for the NXT superstar, and now Ruca hopes to become a double champion by winning the vacant NXT Women's North American title at Stand and Deliver. Ruca's win will air on the April 16th edition of WWE Speed, as WrestleMania week is already shaping up to be a massive one for the surfing superstar. More from Charlotte Flair now, as since returning from her injury, the Queen has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons, including last week's off-script segment on SmackDown. Now Flair has earned herself some serious problems backstage, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that the Queen has significant heat. This heat stems from her treatment of others, with one source saying that Flair is trying to rattle young talent in a manner that John Cena and Randy Orton did in the past. The source shared that the issue with this is that Charlotte has this whole program with Tiffany Stratton, as Flair can't adjust on the fly like Orton and Cena have shown they can. While Orton and Cena would rattle talent and try to get the best of them, Flair hasn't been doing this, and the source said that Flair has been trying to embarrass Tiffany on TV. Flair has often been the source of controversy, with many fans still believing that her success in WWE stems from her last name, and believe she's taken spots that would have helped others. Whether fans love or loathe her, Charlotte will compete in her 8th consecutive title match at WrestleMania next week, though it remains to be seen if this heat will play a factor in the result. In wrestling, real-life issues are a common occurrence, with some stars holding on to grudges for decades, but now one real issue has come to an end after a quarter of a century. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Buff Bagwell shared that Bill Goldberg no longer hates him, 25 years after the WWE Hall of Famer grew infuriated at Bagwell allegedly mocking him. Buff explained that Goldberg thought Bagwell was mocking him for grunting during a workout in the late 90s, but it turns out that Bagwell wasn't the one making fun of Bill's grunts. Instead, it was Lex Luger who was mocking Goldberg, and according to Buff, the soon-to-be WWE Hall of Famer was sounding like Herman Munster. During a recent live stream fundraiser to help with medical costs for Brian Knobbs, Bagwell finally got a chance to explain the truth and is pleased that Goldberg's hate is over. He said, "Thank God Bill finally knows in his heart that Mark Bagwell never did anything intentionally wrong or ugly to him. It just makes my heart warm to know that Bill knows the truth." Goldberg and Bagwell were two staples of WCW, and now that this case of mistaken identity has been solved, perhaps we'll see the pair reunite for a project or two down the line. Back to SmackDown, as there was another smoky, mysterious tease for the person fans predict is Aleister Black, and once again, the numbers 4 and 25 were shown. There were also several candles in the room, as well as a chair, as this may prove to be the biggest clue yet, confirming the return of the former NXT and AEW Trios champion. In 2021, shortly before Black's exit from WWE, he began delivering promos from a book titled Tales of the Dark Father, and would sit in a chair in a room filled with candles. Whatever WWE has planned, fans will find out in just 2 weeks, with Black's return practically guaranteed for the April 25th SmackDown, the first episode of The Blue Show post-WrestleMania. It's also worth mentioning that this segment was immediately followed by a match between Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega, the latter being the wife of Aleister Black. Vega would win this match, albeit by countout, but having Mrs. Aleister Black appear so shortly after this cryptic segment may not be merely a coincidence. Are you excited to see the return of Aleister Black? What do you hope he does first if Black is indeed the one these segments are teasing? Share your thoughts down in the comments. In women's division action, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria would win the women's Gauntlet match on SmackDown, and the pair would go the distance. Lyra and Bayley outlasted Sonya Deville and Zoe Stark to start things before beating the new team of Maxine Dupree and Natalya, who wore matching gear in a nice touch. The new team were eliminated in an interesting way as Maxine tried to impress Natalya by locking in a sharpshooter, but Bayley countered to roll up her less experienced opponent. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance were out next, and despite an incredible corkscrew dive by Carter through the ropes, Bayley and Lyra defeated them before defeating Mi-Chin and B-Fab. The Secret Hervis were the biggest challenge to the role model and the Valkyrie, but the faces won again, setting up Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for WrestleMania. While some fans were hoping to see Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss reunite for this match, that didn't happen, seemingly confirming that Bliss will not make the WrestleMania card. Are you excited to see Bayley and Lyra win? What do you make of them beating every other team in this match, and who will leave Las Vegas as the tag team champions? Share your picks below. WWE confirmed that Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre will be a Sin City street fight at WrestleMania, and the pair once again came to blows during SmackDown. McIntyre attacked Priest as the latter made his way to the ring and would steal the necklace of the man who ended his reign as World Heavyweight Champion last year. McIntyre cut a promo in which he shared that he doesn't need his eye patch anymore, as the issues between those two continue to get increasingly personal ahead of WrestleMania. Rey Fenix battled Berto in Fenix's second match in WWE, and this may have been the match of the night as both men showed what they are capable of. Post-match, Santos Escobar seemed interested in recruiting Fenix into Legado del Fantasma, and teasing Fenix joining the heels in week 2 of his WWE career seems like an odd call. In all likelihood, Fenix will battle the faction before working his way up to a match with Escobar in what will be his biggest test as a WWE superstar. Backstage after the match, Santos Escobar once again talked down to Berto, and once again it was Andrade who argued that Berto doesn't need to put up with this sort of treatment. It seems clear that a split is coming in the Legado del Fantasma, though the only question is whether it'll just be Berto or Berto and Angel who quit taking orders from Santos Escobar. WWE Hall of Famer Jim Duggan was on SmackDown, albeit in a commercial for Snickers that also featured SmackDown's own Carmelo Hayes. This wouldn't be Melo's only appearance, as he was in a backstage segment with The Miz and the Street Profits, and Miz was angry that the tag team titles won't be defended at WrestleMania. Instead, the Profits will defend against the Motor City Machine Guns on next week's SmackDown, and given how hot the division has been, not making WrestleMania is a huge blow. And that was this week's SmackDown, but the action didn't stop after the show went off the air, as Cody Rhodes delivered a special appearance for the Seattle crowd after the show. In the post-show segment, Rhodes resurfaced in a tracksuit, interrupting Carmelo Hayes, and first did the worm to pop the live crowd. Rhodes followed up by delivering Crossroads to Hayes, and to send the crowd home happy. And what did you make of this week's episode of SmackDown? Let us know down below. We mentioned earlier that Randy Orton plans on wrestling at WrestleMania despite Kevin Owens' injury, but who is the favorite to set foot in the ring with the Viper? Despite the segment with Solo Sikoa this week, the former Tribal Chief is not the favorite, though BetOnline does give Solo 4-1 odds of being Orton's opponent. The favorite, in fact, is Nick Aldis, with 10-11 odds, and if he competes, this will mark the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion's in-ring debut for WWE. Aleister Black is the second favorite with 2-1 odds, while Ludwig Kaiser, someone who is also demanding a match at WrestleMania, boasts 5-1 odds. Goldberg, The Rock, and a returning Rusev all share 10-1 odds, while fans predicting a return from Brock Lesnar have been given 14-1 odds. For those willing to bet big, Orton facing Triple H 3 years after the latter's retirement has 50-1 odds, while the in-ring return of Ric Flair at WrestleMania has 100-1 odds. While Orton is expected to compete, fans may only find out his opponent at WrestleMania, and time will tell who locks horns with the Viper inside Las Vegas's Allegiant Stadium. If you've been following Zoe Stark on social media, you'll have found that the Raw superstar has had some choice words for how her fellow female superstars are dressing. The former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion has taken issue with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in recent days, and now Stark has her sights set on Liv Morgan. On Twitter, Stark shared 2 pictures of Liv, one with massive censorship on it, and Stark argued that hard work used to matter in wrestling. Now success is based on who can turn their ring into their own personal strip club, and even included a hashtag saying, "Welcome Liv to the center stage." This post caught the attention of Morgan, who saw the funny side of Stark's criticism, arguing that she'd make the big bucks if she did enter the world of stripping. Do you think Stark raises a good point about the attire of women today? Would you like to see this become part of Stark's character on TV? Share your thoughts in the comments. It's no secret that this is John Cena's final year as an active wrestler, but this week WWE confirmed more dates for the 16-time world champion. When WWE shared its official poster for WWE Clash in Paris, fans immediately spotted Cena, as the company has now confirmed that John's schedule will include the French PLE. Not only will Cena be at Clash in Paris on August 31st, but he'll also be at the following night's edition of Monday Night Raw, also set to take place in Paris. The question now is whether John will walk into Paris as undisputed WWE champion, as the Icon's vow to ruin wrestling will take him to Europe later this year. From one 16-time world champion to another now, as Ric Flair is not expected to be a part of WrestleMania 41, and recently Flair blamed AEW for his omission from the show. On Busted Open Radio, Flair said that while it'd be cool for him to have a role in John Cena's pursuit of 17th world title, the fact that he works for another company is blocking him. Flair said that if he wasn't working for Tony Khan, he'd absolutely be at WrestleMania, but what the Nature Boy is saying may not entirely be on the level. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's reported that Flair's 2-year deal signed in late 2024 was largely tied to his Woo energy drink sponsoring AEW, a sponsorship that is now ended. The report adds that Flair's AEW contract isn't exactly strict and that he could still work with WWE if he wanted, especially if it meant he could work with his daughter Charlotte Flair. The report casts a lot of doubt on Flair's comments and has left fans wondering what the actual reason is that Rick won't be a part of WrestleMania 41. Whatever the reason, WrestleMania is shaping up to be a huge event, but fans shouldn't expect to see the Nature Boy, despite his AEW contract reportedly not being the issue he claims it to be.